Hey everybody, I want to address an issue over the next several weeks that has been really kind of pressing upon my spirit. And it started with a conversation that I was having with a dear couple in our church. We were getting ready to plan our young adult ministry, and they asked me over lunch, like, what do you want us to teach these young adults, these people who are in their early 20s? And a little bit above that. And I said, I thought about it for a nanosecond, and because God just put something in my heart that I've just been sensing for a while. And I looked at him, I said, teach them to be desirable enough to date. And I am very concerned and discouraged at the state of our young people and how undesirable they are to be dated. And you know what's funny is, as soon as I said that, I almost, immediately I've seen multiple studies, whether it be Christian studies or whether it be secular articles that totally back this up. In fact, I saw an article in the Atlantic where it basically said that the kids that age do not have the social skills to be desirable to date. And of course, they tried to blame it on poor white guys because that's what the Atlantic does. That's just a horrible liberal rag. But he backed up exactly what I was feeling, and that is the fact that we have a generation of young people who are not desirable enough to date. And I remember when I first started ministry 30 years ago, the big thing was you'd talk about dating, and it's like how to look for the right person. And now we need to teach how to be the right person, because people have just they have just let themselves go. And I'm not just talking about dress or physical fitness. I'm talking about verbal skills. I'm talking about just how they talk to how they treat other people, or how they withdraw and all that kind of stuff. And it's backed up by the fact is that that people are just lonely. They are unhealthily lonely. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's an epidemic on gigantic proportions. People are so lonely, and they're looking for companionship. But the problem is that they can't get out of their own way, and that's very discouraging for me, because there are just a few things, and I'm hoping over the next several weeks, maybe a couple months, to kind of do this whole series called Desirable Enough to Date. And I'm going to kind of hit issues like what it means to be attractive, and I'm not just talking physically, but I want to hit on some issues right now that I see a major concern. The big store where I live is a Walmart. I mean, and the running joke is, if you can't get a hold of somebody, just go down to Walmart. They're there. You'll run into them. And that's just the case. But the fact is that, I mean, how people dress when they go to Walmart is notorious. I mean, there are social media channels all based on how people go to Walmart. And the fact is that if you go to Walmart at 3:00 in the afternoon, you shouldn't encounter somebody who's still in their pajamas, and they don't care enough about themselves to dress up enough and be presentable. Comfort is king. And so, but the fact is that they put, no thought into what other people might think about that, or if they're even attracted to that. Their thought is, people just have to accept me for who I am. Well, it's obvious that nobody's accepting you for who you are. I mean, I hate to be rude, but the fact is that you should not be wearing pajamas to Walmart at 3:00 in the afternoon. I mean, it's like standard fare: hoodie, pajama bottoms, and slippers that look like bread loaves. I mean, it's just like, come on, be more presentable. If you're looking to attract somebody, you obviously need to be attractive. And I'm not talking about dressing like some kind of hoochie or some kind of like provocative. There is very, very, very simple ways to be modest but yet still attractive. And the fact is, today, in that modesty and taking some care of yourself, you are going to set yourself apart from almost everybody, because the fact is you took some time to care. And it goes beyond just dress. I mean, we need to take care of ourselves. I mean, the lack of physical activity with young people is atrocious. But even then too, even beyond then, it goes to our mouths. And probably the number one thing that makes people the most unattractive is what comes out of their mouth. And what I hear people saying and how they and the freedom they feel to say certain things. I mean, listen, I'm a loudmouth, and I don't express a lot of breaks in what I say a lot of times. But I'm just going to tell you right now, I blush at what some people say and how they say it, and at the attitude that they say it. And I'm sitting there going, there is just no way anybody's going to touch you with a 10-foot pole. And if I'm the only one that's willing to say that to you, then so be it. But the basic fact is sometimes things are better left unsaid. I mean, shut the trap, and you don't have to say everything. Nobody is entitled to your opinion. Nobody wants to hear your opinion most of the time. And when you have an opinion with an attitude, it's like the biggest turnoff. And maybe your parents aren't saying that. Maybe your parents clapped at every picture you drew when you were a kid, and your room's full of participation trophies. Am I hitting every touch spot right here? But the fact is that somebody needs to be real and speak to you. And the fact is that there has to be a modicum of modesty and attractiveness. and it's not even putting yourself out there. It's just taking care of yourself. And so I'm going to challenge you guys as we go through this series is to really make yourself desirable enough to date. And I think if you just do a few simple changes, it will radically change things. And we're going to go in not just to appearance, but we're going to go into things like what happens when somebody comes up. How do you react? How do you let somebody know you're interested in them? And then even going from there. And so I hope you tune in for these, and I hope it goes somewhere. It's something God's put on my heart. And this video is just the intro, just off the cuff. But I want to challenge you guys to be desirable enough to date.